Hi, I hope you guys are starting to recover from your full day at Renaissance. Goodness knows, I was kind of ready to go home. So I hope you guys felt the same way and that you're okay with us just doing this as a straight video. Um, Now, I'm going to be honest, I've never actually taught a lecture straight with no people responding. So hopefully it sounds okay, and that if you have any questions, you can always email me, and you're going to be getting my email obviously with the link to this. Um, Now, the other thing I hope you're okay with is the fact that I'm going to be reading quite a bit of it. There's a lot of technical information on the different glands and the types of chemicals that they produce, and I don't remember them off the top of my head. So I hope you're okay with that, and again, I'll try to make it as interesting as possible, and that it doesn't just look like I'm reading straight from the book, because let's face it, you could read straight from the book too, you're intelligent people. So hopefully we'll be able to add just a little bit more and make it more understandable. Now, as we talked a little bit about last week, we're doing the endocrine system. Basically, the endocrine system is comprised of different glands and the hormones that they produce, and that's kind of just about what it is. The reason that it gets a little bit more technical is when we start getting to the different types of hormones and what their effect is going to be, what controls them, and how it knows to produce as much as it does, and things like that. Um, so it's a little bit more complicated when you think about the fact that it's only two different types of things that it's made up of. The other thing that the endocrine system is a little bit more complicated is the fact that it's actually the second most controlling and communicating system of the body. Obviously, the nervous system is the most, which is good because it comprises of the brain. And if the central processing unit of the whole body were not the one that was in control the most, there might be some issues. But while the nervous system communicates the most and it controls most of what's going on in the body, it's sort of like right-hand man that helps it out is the endocrine system. So it can do a lot of really important things. Some of the reasons that the endocrine system is so important is the functions that it does. Obviously, the first function of the endocrine system is to produce and secrete hormones. I know, it's shocking, but that's what it does. Next thing is that it regulates body activities such as growth, development, metabolism, fluid, mineral, and electrolyte balance, all of those kind of things. So basically what's happening is that it's maintaining homeostasis. Remember, the homeostasis is a balance of the metabolic processes so that the body works most efficiently and at its peak performance level. So hormones are one of the best ways that the body regulates that system. It also helps the body to adapt during times of stress. So trauma, like accidents, infections, dehydration, emotional stress, all of that kind of stuff, the endocrine system will actually react to it in a way that will help the body to then kind of come back to the level in which we can function at our best. And then the last one is that it helps to contribute to the reproductive processes. I mean, again, everything wants to reproduce. Our cells reproduce and create new cells. I mean, obviously, it usually just creates the same type of cell, but everything kind of wants to continue on with life, and so our endocrine system is going to help us in continuing life as well. All right, so first let's talk a little bit about hormones. Again, hormones are just chemicals that the body reacts to. And this is why we have the difference between the endocrine and the exocrine system. Remember, the exocrine system are glands, just like the endocrine system has glands, but these ones have ducts that take the hormone that's being produced or whatever chemical is being produced and directly takes it to a specific spot. Usually this is the reason for that is that the chemical that's being produced would react to many different types of tissues, and so it needs to target a specific area to get what function needs to happen to occur, as opposed to just kind of letting it free float and affecting a whole lot of things it's not meant to affect. Whereas the endocrine system It is free floating. It's just swimming in the bloodstream, so to speak. And it's it's really just looking for the target cells that are going to react to it. In many ways, it's like lock and keys. Um, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like I carry a little bit too many keys. I've got a big bundle. And obviously, with a lot of those keys, not every key is going to fit every lock and effect and open up every single door. It's really just for specific types of doors that are fit to that specific key pattern. And it's that same way with these hormones. We've got a lot of hormones swimming in our bloodstream, but each type of tissue is only going to react to certain types of those hormones, and it'll only react in a certain way. So if the body knows that it's going to react in a specific way, then if it needs to have more of that action take place, it'll produce more of that hormone. And if it needs less to be produced, then it'll produce less of that hormone. And again, it's just for the specific target cells. It's the lock that actually fits the hormone key, so to speak. Now, hormones are basically categorized in two main categories. The first category is the amino acid compounds. And again, remember that amino acids are protein-based chemicals or protein-based compounds. So, or at least amino acids are the compound that makes up protein. There we go. That feels a lot better. Okay. So we have a lot of these different hormones that are the basic components of protein. And those are the amino acid ones. The biggest one that falls into this category are actually steroids. Steroids are amino acid type. Oh, sorry. Scratch that. It's not an amino acid type. A lot of our sex hormones are amino acid. Our steroids are actually a type, the other type, and that type is lipids. And if you remember, lipids are actually fatty compounds. So fatty acids would be an example of steroids. There are other types of hormones that fit into those categories. We also have something called peptide hormones. And not only are these hormones categorized by what's comprising them, but they're also being categorized by how they affect the body. Steroid, for instance, they're going to alter cell activity by turning genes on and off. So that's why steroids can affect your growth and different things like that. So it's actually turning genes and affecting your genetic makeup. Other ones we have our peptide hormones, and these are going to affect cells' metabolic processes. So if a cell needs to be repressed, if they're functioning at too high of a level, a peptide will actually slow it down so it won't work as well, or as efficiently, I guess you could say. And then we have biogenic amines, and you should be able to deduct that those are amino acid type of hormones. So biogenic amines function as neurotransmitters, and these would be ones like dopamine, serotonin, histamine. Those kind of things are going to act as neurotransmitters. And if you remember, neurotransmitters really just affect nerve impulse function. So they're actually hormones that are going to act as sort of helpers to guide the nerve impulses the way they should be going. The other group that I want to talk about are eicosanoids, which kind of a fun little name right there. Eicosanoids are hormones that actually affect smooth muscle contraction. So we have some types of hormones that are going to be affecting our digestive system, for instance, or some of the other types of muscles that are going to be affecting the organs themselves. So not skeletal muscles, but all the other stuff in there. And those are going to be eicosanoids, also known as tissue hormones. And they're going to be, so those ones, for instance, if you remember our blood vessels, how we talked about there's 3 different layers within the blood vessel wall, and that middle layer are muscles within that layer. So some of our eicosanoid or tissue hormones are actually going to affect that vasodilation and vasoconstriction, so the size of that lumen within the blood vessel. Okay, so those are the different types of hormones. Again, they're going to be affecting the body in different ways. It just depends on what we're trying to do and how to help it. Whether it is actually affecting the genetic makeup and how the genes are turning on and off, whether it's going to be altering the cell's metabolism, or neurotransmitters to make sure that the impulse is being traveled the way it's supposed to, or the eicosanoids, again, affecting the smooth muscles of the tissues. All those ways are types of hormones and the way that they affect them.